Well, for Indian families hoping to build a future in America, there is perhaps no more frightening word than deportation. And now, community organizations are demanding greater attention to how Indian nationals caught in the US immigration proceedings are tested. The National Associations of Punjabis in America, or NAPA, has called on US immigration authorities and India's Ministry of External Affairs just to ensure that Indians facing removal receive a fair, transparent, and humane legal process. NAPA Executive Director Satnam Singh Chahal, he has emphasized an important point here. Countries have the sovereign right to enforce their immigration rules, but the people facing removal, they still have legal rights. That includes access to global counsel, fair hearing before immigration judges, and maybe a more humane treatment during detention and removal. Well, the appeal comes as deportation of Indian nationals have increased. According to resources, ladies and gentlemen, more than 100,000 Indians were deported from the US during the first half of 2026 alone, and the broader number. It shows how sharply the whole situation has changed. Data presented in India's parliament, it shows Indian deportation from the US rising from 617 in 2023 to more than 3,500 in 2025. Well, the report also says that more than 400 deportations were recorded during the first quarter of 2026. And at the same time, illegal border encounters involving Indian nationals have declined. And that may sound like a good news to you, but there is another side to this story. Well, many people who entered the US during previous years, they are now reaching the final stages of their immigration court proceedings. Now, if an asylum claim is denied and final removal order is issued, then federal agencies can move forward with deportation. And this is where NAPA says that due process becomes crucial because immigration cases, they can be complicated. Language barriers can create misunderstanding. People may have no lawyer. Court proceedings can move quickly, and individuals may struggle to explain their maybe circumstances during initial screening. According to reports, another major problem is there, which is fraudulent migration network operating in India. Young people, particularly in states like Punjab, Haryana, Gujarat, they are sometimes approached by agents promising guaranteed US visa jobs or legal status through unauthorized migration route. Families can end up selling property, mortgaging homes, or taking a massive debt. Some reportedly pay between $50,000 to $70,000 per person. And after spending that kind of money, they may still end up detained in the US. And that is why NAPA is calling for stronger action against fraudulent travel agencies and human trafficking network. Message is not simply directed at the US here. It is also directed at India because if an agent is selling a fake promise of American immigration, the the damage begins long before somebody reaches the US border. Well, it begins when a family hands over its saving. It begins when somebody sells a land. It begins when a younger person believes that there is no legal pathway available and choose a dangerous shortcut. Well, NAPA is therefore calling for better coordination between the Indian diplomatic officials and the US immigration authorities. Well, that includes consular access, identity verification, reasonable access to immigration attorneys, and stronger action against fraudulent agents. And yes, there is one more message that should be extremely clear for anybody who's planning to migrate. Do not trust anybody who promises a guaranteed US immigration outcome through an unauthorized route. A shortcut can become detention. A fake promise can become financial ruin, and an immigration violation, it can have consequences that last for years. So, as immigration enforcement becomes stricter, the safest strategy is also the simplest one. Use lawful, verified immigration channels because the dream of moving abroad, it should never begin with risking your family's entire future. And with that, we move to our next story tonight, where the issue is no longer about entering America, but about people who already have something that many immigrants spend years trying to obtain: a US green card. That's right. Even permanent residency is now facing a new layer of scrutiny, by the way, specifically when long term green card holders decide to apply for a US citizenship.